Forward. All right. Well, welcome, Sharik. Thank you so much for sharing your film with us tonight. Could you guys start off by just telling us a little bit about you, your background, how you became to be a filmmaker?
Actually, hi everyone. It's a pleasure to be part of the festival, and also I'm glad that we get a chance at least to talk to the audience, although it's in a very indirect way. But it's always a pleasure, so we can at least share some communication. And so, regarding my past as a filmmaker, I actually went to film school in the U.S. I study in New York and in San Francisco. But then when I got back home, I got together with other friends, and we started this small collective that became after a production company. And we started making films. And today, besides making documentaries and short films and now fiction films, Air Condition is our first feature-length fiction film. We also do other commercial work, but it's been a long journey for us because it's almost 10 years since we start our collective, and also independent filmmaking in Angola. It's very different, from the standard in America. You have kind of a studio thing. You have the festivals. You have funds. You have to pitch in. But and here it's almost like we do commercial work to get paid to do our other projects. But it's been working for us because it's not only about making one director's films. We kind of take turns. Every year we do each other's projects. In 2019 was Air Conditioner, and last year with COVID, and this year we're making the director of photography's film, Eric Klaver, who co-wrote the film with me, Air Conditioner. So the most important thing for us is to keep making films and sharing the experience of making the films, and also sharing the experience of sharing the films, which is a very important process for us.
Yeah, I'm really curious about your collective. That's such an interesting way to create films, and I love that you guys take turns. That's awesome. How many
Yeah.
how many folks? It's hard too with a lot of artists sometimes. How many folks are in the
Yeah.
collective, and how many are directors? How many are cinematographers? And how do you guys kind of balance the creative duties and inspiration between you?
Well, Well, we are almost 20 people, but we are not all directors and cinematographers. We are right now 4 directors, and from those 4 directors, 2 of them are cinematographers. And what happened is basically we kind of taking turns, like when we're shooting one person's project in that same year, the other person is already prepping for or start developing its own project. So, and the thing is, because all of us kind of have experience in different positions in the crew, which makes also very important. Besides directing, also write and edit, so that makes easier to work on each other's project. And for us, it's important because it's a way for us to keep working, because we cannot make 4 films a year. It's impossible for us. But at least if we make one film, we try to get as much as people involved in it, and make it, a kind of a more common experience, instead of just, having that standard hierarchy production kind of filmmaking.
That's great. And I feel like the kind of collectivity shows in the film as well. Just like it feels like, everyone was in this together and working through it. What was what sparked the idea for this film? It's such an interesting concept and so original. I'm just curious, like what was the initial inspiration, and how did this idea develop?
Well, it's kind of it's like I was born and raised here, and throughout my whole life, I live in different buildings in downtown, and the filmmaker Eddie Claver, who is the director of photography and wrote with me, also has the same experience. Actually, everyone kind of on the crew, even the composer Aline Frazão, who wrote the beautiful soundtrack, she also lived downtown. The producer, the art director. So we kind of had the same little bit different in our each other's lives, but we all knew the reality where we're shooting the films. Like, we know all those characters are based in real people. You know, we have you have the mystical part or the fiction part of Air Conditions Falling, but you know, the main character Matacedo or even Zazinha, they're based in real people and they are in real locations. So I would say the biggest inspiration was the city itself in all these years that I've been living here. And for us, it was very, at least for me, it was important not only to get uh, everyone on board in terms of, you know, sharing our experiences, but bringing our different point of views and how we see those characters, how we see the city. And I think that's one of the biggest strengths of the film. Like the soundtrack was something that, you know, brought another layer for the film. The photography, the art direction, they all bring different layers that I couldn't come up myself, you know. And that's, I think it gives something extra to the film, because for me as a filmmaker, I don't like just to use one of the tools on when I'm making a film, like being focused just on photography or just the narrative. So I think I try to use everything I can in terms of like, okay, I can use music and I can have a whole song play in it, or you know, I can use photography. So I try to use all the tools that I can, and have the experience of those artists that work on those fields, you know.
Yeah, I mean, the film definitely feels very so specific to that place. And you know, like you're really entering into that city and that neighborhood. Talk to me. So you said the person who did the music also grew up there. Can you talk a little bit about your collaboration with her, and did she, you know, how the music developed to go with the film, and vice versa, how they balanced each other out?
It was the first time that for a project that the music starts being part of the project right from when we were developing the script. Uh, uh, Aline had the access to the first draft of the script, and on the first draft of the script, you can already know what kind of setting, what kind of mood we're looking for in terms of photography. So I think that early talks was very important, not only for her as a composer, but for me as a filmmaker as well, to know kind of the rhythm of the film, you know. And the other aspect was I really wanted the songs to bring, you know, extra layers to the dialogues and to the city, that you cannot see the whole city of Luanda in 72 minutes, and you cannot see Matacedo's whole life in those minutes as well. So the acting was important, but the songs and the music was also important to give a little bit more of who those persons, who those people were, and also what kind of city we are in, you know. So I think even during the shooting process, during the editing process, we actually changed scenes because of the songs that are already written. So in terms of pacing and everything. So it was a process that I really want to keep doing it, because I think it helps the filmmaker, and also it's important for the composers to be part of the script, of the process of making the film early on, I think.
Yeah, that's amazing, and super rare to have the music coming in such early in the process. Usually, you know, it's layered on at the very last thing, and like, okay, what goes with this scene? And so I think that's really amazing that you guys were able to work in that way and like really make that such a collaborative process. I'm also curious, just as a director, like the kind of the structure and the pacing and the kind of dreamlike quality of the film. Like when you're going into this film, did you have a feeling of the energy you wanted throughout and the pacing you wanted throughout? And what is that about, and where is that coming from for you? If that makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I'm very at least in these last years. Well, even when I got out from film school, I really like films that take their time. You know, they're slow, where you can see the whole frame. You can absorb the character, you can absorb the location, and I think a security guard and a character like Matacedo is someone that spends most of his time kind of waiting or and watching and kind of stuck in reflecting his own life or going around from one floor to another, taking orders from people that live in the building. And I really want people to go on that journey with him, you know, and go on a journey of the whole building and crossing the streets. So it was important also in terms of photography to have that kind of flow and that slow pace to it. And I think that's how I would like to be introduced to a city or to a character. So I try to bring that into the film, not specifically for just for people from Angola, but for anyone else. You know, I didn't make this film just for a specific audience. I made this film for like anyone who wants to know this character, wants to know this city, and be part of it. You know, it's kind of an attempt to immerse the audience into the world of Matacedo.
Nice. So as we know, not being able to travel for like a year, I appreciate being able to like go into this world and feel like I'm in the city. I'm like, all right, can't get on a plane, but I can watch this film and feel like I'm in a new place and get the sense of it. So thank you. Thank you for helping me travel with that. Um, it's always nice. So I'm curious about some of the characters. My favorite character was Mr. I think Catamino, is that his name?
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah.
Can you tell me about that character? Because I love that character. I'm just curious
Well,
to hear more about him.
the character, the like for me, the three characters kind of reflect on a way kind of that I see we as citizens of Luanda. Kind of, you have, you know, like the character you were talking about, like Cotamino, is someone that is not only I wouldn't say stuck in the past, but he believes that using the past or using the memories is something that gives hope and can bring change to the situation. And then you have, you know, Matacedo, who is someone, you know, he goes with the flow. He's not trying to ask too many questions. And then you have Zazinha, who is kind of pushing forward. She has no time to be talking and thinking about it. And for me, it was very important to have those three characters meet, because once they meet, they kind of influence each other. And also because I the character of Cotamino specifically that you were talking about, it's someone that like Matacedo and Zazinha, it's someone that people kind of don't see anymore. You know, don't see, not because they're not there, but they just, you know, ignore them. And like, this is actually based on a store owner. Like the store where we shot the film is actually is a old TV store, and the owner of the store is someone that's been working there for 40 years, and is not really fixing TVs anymore, but is someone that, you know, is being stuck there, and that building specifically is going through a conflict process of selling or not selling to build, you know, a new hotel. So it's like downtown, and he's kind of like stuck in there because he doesn't want to leave the store, although it doesn't work anymore there in terms of having clients and anything. But if he leaves the store, he's gonna they might, you know, evict him. So it's kind of a part of town that is kind of being pushed out in terms of like the old buildings and the old apartments for this new modern, you know, skyscraper with the glass buildings and everything. So I think was an important thing for me to pay kind of an homage of those characters and also those buildings that are important memories of our city, and shouldn't just be pushed away or you know, destroyed. They should be taken care. They should be restored. So it's something that I'm not only in this film, but even in previous films, something that it's a big concern for me in terms of what we do with our memories and what we do with with people that are part of our memories, not only in the city but in the country as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the idea of, with, gentrification and this development is happening in a lot of cities. It's interesting to hear that it's happened. Has that been more recently in the last few years, or has that been ongoing for a while, this development there?
It happened a lot since at the end of the Civil War, and kind of in the last 3-4 years it's been slowing down because of economic crisis, and now even with COVID it's going to be even worse. But it's something that is present. Now we have a lot of constructions that kind of stopped because of COVID and the financial crisis. So the city is kind of in a limbo kind of zone at this moment, I would say.
Sometimes that's not always bad to kind of,
yeah,
take a pause and see what's going on. I'd love to talk about one of the scenes in the film that really struck me was the funeral scene. I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit about that scene. It's such a powerful, interesting scene. Yeah, just talk a little bit about that.
I think what it's for us in terms of how we deal with that here is I wouldn't say it's specifically only to Angola. There are other cultures that have the same and similar traditions, but the idea of mourning more than one specific day, and mourning for long days and mourning together is something that also it's a big interest of me. Like in the day we're shooting actually the funeral scene in a building, which was a building was very important for this production, because all the neighbors in the building not only opened their apartments, and they were part of the production, some of them, not only as actors, but also part of the crew. The day that we are actually shooting the funeral scene, we've been there for, I think, 11 days already when we shot that scene. And people start acting, during the scene. And because of the cries, some neighbors actually thought on that apartment that we were shooting, someone actually died. And it's like after the third or fourth take, people actually were coming up already dressed up to be part of the funeral and pay respects to whoever was dead. And it was a awkward moment, because we were actually saying, no, we're still shooting the film. Nobody is dead in this apartment. But that showed to me the sense of community that we have also on those buildings as well, which is, that is something very important for us, and to pay respects and mourn together is something that I think in many cultures it has been forgotten, and even here sometimes it has been forgotten. And I think it was important for this conflict between Mataceda and Zazinha, saying that you have to go pay respects, and it was an important thing in terms of the character and in terms of development for me at the end towards the film.
Yeah, and I think that scene, I think, will hit people really differently now too. When people can't mourn together, they can't have funerals in the same way right now. But yeah. I love how the whole building came together, and you got some extras for your scene without even one.
What actually? Yeah, it was a very.
You put them in the scene, right? I would have done.
Yes.
That. Like,
no, it's. We actually one of them actually was part of the scene afterwards, but it's the whole process for us for the building. Like we've been looking for many buildings before we actually shot a year before almost, and when we found the building, we kind of start doing that year, hanging out, talking with the neighbors, taking shots of the locations and everything. And it was important for us to get not also the building involved, because it's I love to shoot in real locations, and I think when we're talking about creating something like a film, which is art, which is culture, I think it's very important to have the community as well involved, or where you're shooting, because in terms of culture here in Angola, in terms of arts, is something that our government doesn't invest so much. There's not a specific plan, and I think art is important, especially in countries like ours. Like you need something, and I would say that in terms of of the air conditioner. You need something to breathe, and I think culture gives you that, and creating something together gives you that. And for us was a kind of an honor and a pleasure to have the film shown there as well. Etienne was the first place and the only place we actually showed the film here, because then COVID hit, and we actually haven't done a premiere of the film in Angola. We've been going around festivals, but since we released the film in Rotterdam last year, we haven't actually did a proper premiere here because of COVID.
Hopefully soon next year you can do that.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
What is the, you talked a little bit about, the film scene there, but could you speak a little bit more to the kind of the arts and culture scene in Angola right now? You hinted that there's not a lot of support for it, but what is the arts and culture scene like there? What is the film scene like? Kind of what are the challenges and what are some of the beautiful things that are happening?
Well, in terms of films, it's a very independent. There's not a lot of people making films. We've been kind of going in waves. You have years that you have 2, 5 films, but if you have one film a year, and I'm not only talking about our collective, I'm talking about even the other production companies or other filmmakers, independent filmmakers, it's already a blessing, because in terms of making films, you do with your own resources. It's not supported. We filmmakers support each other. That's basically it here. But for me, it's been also a very important experience in terms of the last years to being together with other African filmmakers, not only from Angola, because I think cinema in Africa in the last 10 years has been growing so much, and not cinema that is stuck just with the stereotype with Nollywood films, but independent art house films are coming out. Like I know that the festival you're gonna have the film of Jeremiah Mosese, which is a friend of mine who did It's Not a Burial, It's a Resurrection, which is my favorite film from last year, and it's for me it's like a masterpiece. I love that film so much. Yeah. And that's the kind of filmmaking that I'm really looking forward to seeing more in, not only in Angola but in the continent. And that's what gives me hope in terms of culture and cinema in our continent as well.
I have to ask you about another scene that
Tell me.
the scene where they read each other's minds. Can you talk to I was amazed by it. I was like, what? Wait, but can they hear it? And then I was trying to figure it out. But it was,
well, it actually came because in our buildings here, in the back part of our buildings, because you have so many generators and water pumps, you have so much noise, especially when the power is out, that it's very hard for people to speak with each other because of in terms of the noise that's going on. So we actually thought it would be interesting to see how people would communicate with actually words on those situations. And people we're not talking about, we're talking about the working class people, and that was something that was also very important for us. We didn't want to give a very focus on the Mata Cedo's boss or Zezinha's boss. We wanted to put him almost out of frame when he shows, or even just on the phone, because that's something that for me was also important to give more focus to the security guard, to the housemaid, which interesting enough, there hasn't been many films about the working class. Normally you see a lot of films coming out here in Angola focus more the big boss, the villain. A lot of them are just copies of films that are portrayed in Hollywood, and I think it's important for us to start making films about our daily stories and our daily people, and I think that was kind of like almost a way to show or to suggest how people could communicate as well.
Thank you for answering that burning question in my mind. But I think, yeah, that's wonderful because I mean, not a lot of films anywhere really show the working class or show the people. You know, films always
Mhm.
focus on the royalty or, you know, so I think that's really important because film should be for the people. Um,
Mhm.
and so so I know you said you guys take turns with directing, but what is your next project you guys have in
Mhm.
development that
Yeah.
you're working on?
Well, actually, the next project I have to learn the name in English because we're shooting now, and we start shooting last year, and it's we have a 2 days I think more because now with COVID and all the restrictions that we have to respect, the film shooting kind of has been spread out for months now. But it's directed by Eddie Claver, which is the director of photography of Air Conditioner, and it's called I don't want to say the name in
Don't
English
say it in
because I
English.
only
Say
know
it.
in Portuguese.
Say it in Portuguese.
It's a but I think the film we are trying to release the film next year, so it's going to start post production soon, and we'll see. It's our new project. We are very much in love with it, and hopefully we're going to be able to share again not only in Angola but also with other festivals around the world.
Can you give us any sneak peeks of what it's about or anything like that?
Well, I yes, okay. So the film actually, the main character is a woman who her husband is kind of sick, and there's been a new Chinese Virgin Mary statuette going around the city, and it's been very popular. And she kind of tries to get that statuette to see if she can. Solve all of her problems, but there's a lot of things happening. But it's you'll see.
Okay, we'll look forward to seeing that one when it's
Yes.
ready. When it's ready. Wonderful. Was there anything else you want to share about the film that I didn't touch on that's important for us to know?
Well, I think it's about it. I hope people enjoy it. I'm always very interesting to see how the film has affected people in different parts of the world, and for me that's a very important process, a part of the process as well. And I'm looking forward to actually seeing the film in the theaters, hopefully, because it's been a very long year of digital uh, communication. I know it's very important for us to keep us safe at the moment, and it's not been easy. But hopefully, we're gonna be able to see other films and in the cinemas soon.
I hope so. I hope so soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me, and I'm sure all of our audiences will love to see this after they watch the film. And I wish, hopefully someday we can bring you to the real theater and meet you in person and all of that.
Yes.
That'd be wonderful.
Yes.
All
Thank
right,
you very much.
thank you.